All right, so we'll do another example of the unique mechanism. This one is coming from a financial offer, a book plus newsletter deal. It's from George Gilder. I'm actually going to grab the link here and pop it in. That way I can show you it real quick. Give me one sec. Cool. So this is a Agora run offer with George Gilder, who was the Treasury Secretary or financial advisor, did something with Reagan. I'm sure it says it here. He was part of Ronald Reagan's cabinet, and it's got a bunch of credibility, but the offer is to get a free copy of his book and to also be enrolled in his newsletter when you do it. And he's a cool guy, ton of credibility, and the book is called Life After Google. And then, he wants you basically right here, right, you get a copy of the book, and he wants you're going to subscribe to his newsletter, the Gilder Report. So that's what we've got going on. Now, it's a long letter, so rather than read through the entire thing, and again, I will share this link with you, let me show you. I went through and kind of pulled out what the mechanism behind the problem and solution looks like, so I'm going to walk you through that right now. So one more moment. Perfect. Now, here is put the link up to the top, so you'll have that. So I'm just going to read through most of this for you. You'll notice it's a little bit long. It's not crazy, though. But part of it, too, is we can kind of skip over, and I'll show you in a moment why. All right, so every one of our biggest companies today, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, and, of course, Google, is a tech titan that's built their empire on what most of us know as big data. Funny, they have a typo there, because I copy and pasted this. Built their empire on what most of us know as big data. That is, they feed off the information we give them. They give away their services in exchange for advertising dollars. They give you stuff and you give them data, and then they sell ads. Think about it. You give Facebook a list of your friends, your travel plans, your opinions and interests. You give Google your shopping plans. Your iPhone tracks your location literally to the last fraction of a mile. What you get in return can be amazing. Ease of travel, ease of communication, ease of search, and even free search besides. Yet it will be the fatal flaw that dooms Google and every other business built on those same data-thirsty foundations. Why? Don't get me wrong. Each one of these giants are among the most important companies in financial history, and each has replaced the biggest corporations of 10 years earlier, Exxon, Walmart, China, Petroleum, and others. But just as those firms have cycled out of the top positions on Wall Street and across our economy, so will these tech giants be forced into retreat thanks to the very same phenomenon that once helped them explode in size. As I write on page 90 of Life After Google, the most important effect of the Google model is that you avoid the real-time demands of preventing hacks and thefts. Google can place the burden of security on the customer. This very lack of concern with security will be Google's undoing. In other words, our new big data-driven universe has a fundamental flaw. As it stands, literally billions of items of personal data is hacked every year. The Google model cannot last. It's destined to crumble, and with that, we'll lose a major cornerstone of today's massive digital economy. As I said, one thing for sure is that 10 years from now, the big tech companies that dominate our world will not be the same companies you hear about and read about so much today. Who will take their place? You see, today's internet wasn't built for protecting your credit card information, guarding your online banking transactions, or shielding your family photos from prying eyes. It was built for openly sharing information like a gigantic encyclopedia. This makes it deeply unsafe and insecure by design. How many hacks and how many billions of data breaches will it take before we admit that? Scan your memory and ask yourself, have you ever bought a bag of topsoil or a lawnmower at Home Depot? Because if you have, you need to know that hackers broke into their computers in September 2014 and stole 56 million credit card numbers. Hopefully not yours. Meanwhile, have you or anyone you know ever taken an Uber? Because in 2016, 2 hackers stole names, emails, and mobile numbers for as many as 57 million of their customers. Again, I hope you weren't one of them. And do you have health insurance? Chances are you do. In which case you should know that Anthem, America's second biggest insurer, suffered a major security breach in 2015. Foreign hackers broke into Anthem's database and swiped names, social security numbers, and even job histories for close to 79 million customers. And the list goes on. And they list a bunch of, a couple of more examples. So Sony PlayStation, Marriott, Equifax. But that still does nothing to guarantee that your data is safe. If you haven't been exposed already, how long before you are? And how long before Wall Street's other biggest companies get hit with similar fines? How long before hackers go after an even bigger prize, say $1 trillion heist from America's banking system? After all, the SWIFT system for transferring money overseas has already been hacked. And how long before you wake up to find your assets frozen, or to news that some hacker in Russia or Singapore has used your name to take out a new mortgage, open a bank account, or get a line of credit, or some military hackers have brought down crucial parts of our power grid. And get this, as an American, you're especially vulnerable because 97% of all records stolen originate in the United States. Okay, so that's the problem. The problem is that the architecture of today's internet is fundamentally unsecure. And because Google and Facebook and Apple and all these people run on that architecture, they are fundamentally insecure too. There's an inherent flaw. And I should have said this at the beginning, but the book and the newsletter, again, this is financial, is so it really selling investment opportunities, opportunities to get rich, opportunities to make more money for retirement, things like that. And so the argument here is that, because of this problem, that the fundamental kind of underlying nature of today's internet is insecure and unsafe, that the stocks of today are going to decline, but there will be new opportunities to get new stocks, and new companies are going to take their place. So you kind of saw that with the companies that are the top today weren't the top 10 years ago. And what they're selling you on is the idea of the companies that are going to become the top ones 10 years from today, which are different, that you can invest in those now. And that's sort of the big selling or value proposition from this letter. So as you'll see here, and that's kind of what we talk about with the mechanism of the solution, which, as you'll note, is really not that long, but it works. Right? But it doesn't have to be that way. As I say on page 92 of my book, some thousands of companies you've never heard of are investing billions in that effort to fix the lack of security on the internet. Collectively, they will give birth to a new network whose most powerful architectural imperative will be security of transactions. So fundamental will security be to this new system that its very name will be derived from it. It will be the cryptocosm. If that's the first time you're hearing the term cryptocosm, I'm not surprised. The cryptocosm is what I call this new system of the world. As you can guess, it gets its roots in the cryptographic revolution that gave us Bitcoin. But it's so much more. As I reveal on page 267, Bitcoin aimed to burst the overstuffed $5.1 trillion daily piñata of modern currencies and unleash a cryptocopia. But the units of account, the monetary measuring sticks, remained in the world of fiat and gold. This is why you still see values of cryptocurrencies surging and collapsing to this day. Until Wall Street and Main Street overcome the key flaw of all these currencies, that won't change. But the real miracle, the real innovation, isn't the financial one. It's the underlying technology. This is the blueprint that's going to give us the brand new infrastructures. And it's going to do so much more than disrupt our money or today's internet. As you'll see in Life After Google, this new system will give us new ways to escape the swamp of overregulation, cut out intermediaries, and radically lower costs for doing business. It's going to help us free up capital, give power to legions of new entrepreneurs, and freely expand wealth creation. And all of this, with real privacy and true identities at its core. In short, this was the internet as it always should have been. So again, if the problem is that the architecture of the internet is flawed, then the solution is a new architecture based on cryptography. And again, then the promise or the point of the sales page is to get people to buy the book and get the newsletter so they can find out about these new companies that are going to replace the old guards of Google and Facebook and things like that. And as a result, increase in value tremendously, and investors who get in early will realize really large windfalls. So I wanted to share this one especially because we did an olive oil one that was for like a consumer product. We did a fungus one that's kind of like a health product. But here you have a mechanism for a financial product when someone's selling a book and a newsletter, and it's about investment stuff. And that's an important point because, like I've been saying, really everything, you can do a unique mechanism for everything. In a pitch, in a presentation, in a sales conversation where you're selling a service, whatever you're doing, by differentiating by showing that you understand the problem and then showing them how you understand it better than the prospect does. In fact, that you can tell them about the problem and that here's the 1% you were missing. And then by showing that whatever you're selling, whether it's a product or a service, is the solution to that missing 1%, then you can have a much more a much higher probability of closing that prospect and making the sale, whether that's through digital marketing or in-person marketing or somewhere in between. So hopefully that all makes sense. I think those are 3 great examples, and we're going to move on to B of the RMBC method, which stands for the brief.